How's it going, everybody? My name's Alex, aka Lanky Dragoon, and today we're going to be talking about my experience with Drinkbox Studios' Nobody Saves the World. But first, I want to thank the team at Pop Agenda for providing my code for this review. As always, if you enjoy the video, please consider leaving a like down below and hit that subscribe button for upcoming game reviews and live streams. I was late to the party that is Drinkbox Studios' library, but I had heard for several years how beloved their past titles were within the indie crowd. I didn't try the first Guacamelee game until a couple of years ago, and while I enjoyed my time with their take on the Metroidvania design, I never ended up beating the game. It wasn't until I bought a PlayStation Vita for my cousin that I beat Severed and understood the talent that people attributed to Drinkbox. When I saw the team's gameplay reveal for Nobody Saves the World, I knew it would be right up my alley. Some of you might be wondering what Nobody Saves the World is. Let me explain. Nobody Saves the World is a procedurally generated action RPG that can be played solo or with another player through local co-op. The biggest difference from other games in the genre is that the player won't find any pieces of gear with bigger numbers dropped by enemies. Instead, they will complete combat challenges to unlock and rank up 18 different playable forms. Each of these forms comes with up to 4 unique combat abilities and 1 passive ability that are unlocked by ranking the form up from D to S tier. Once the player reaches a certain point in the story, each form can be fully customized with the player's entire pool of abilities. This is where you're going to be finding the build aspect of the game. The player is encouraged to experiment with each form that has its own stats and add abilities with different damage types or effects that pair with passives to complement their playstyle. Due to the game's dungeon crawler nature, it suffers the same narrative fate as other titles in the genre. It's not that the story is bad by any means, it's just that the plot takes a backseat to the gameplay despite its best efforts. Even the heaviest of action RPG hitters, Diablo, is mostly a mindless action RPG where players kill the monsters to make the numbers go up. Nobody Saves the World is about a featureless character referred to as Nobody who quickly learns that a powerful wizard named Nostramagus has been kidnapped at a convenient time that an evil force called the Calamity is trying to destroy the world. Nostramagus' apprentice Randy the Rad has an antagonistic relationship with Nobody, which is akin to the rival from Pokemon, that keeps showing up in different parts of the story just to get in your way. I won't spoil how this relationship resolves, but I will say that it was the strongest point of the narrative. Since this is a game made by Drinkbox, you can expect their brand of humor to shine throughout the dialogue in the story, and through the various side quests that you encounter along the way. One of my favorite side quests was about finding love in a hopeless world as Nobody's horse form, traversing the areas in the map and finding different horses to talk to. While the game separates itself firmly in the grind loop and tone, Nobody Saves the World was a twist on a genre I've mainly experienced through the Diablo series, and it felt refreshing enough for me to keep coming back for more. I even started a New Game Plus run, which is something I rarely do for games these days. Nobody Saves the World does a good job at onboarding players into how they'll be spending most of their time with the game. The first few dungeons are basic and will give pop-ups to inform players of different game mechanics, but after the starting area, the gloves come off. As players progress through the story, they will unlock dungeons with harder modifiers, higher level enemies, and multiple wards that will shield enemies from any damage until they're hit with the correct type. One thing that I see as a pro and con about the damage wards is that the world map icon for the dungeon will show you exactly which wards to expect on the enemies. This makes it very easy to just set my favorite form with abilities that deal the appropriate type, rather than having to change forms to meet the challenge, but I think that would have been my preferred method as it involves more adaptability from the player. For example, there's an optional dungeon pretty early in the game that has a modifier of all damage being increased times 9,999, on top of enemies having damage wards. I inevitably gave up and kept doing other dungeons until I unlocked a passive ability that allowed me to only lose a quarter of my health from any one attack. So I equipped that and went through that 9,999 multiplied damage dungeon very easily. There's another quest that is similar to this in terms of needing to think about what ability or passive could help you out in the situation that's presented, but overall, I felt that the game was lacking in having me come up with solutions, and that was pretty disappointing since those were my favorite moments of the game. Overall, I really enjoyed my time with Nobody Saves the World, and I'd recommend anyone that likes action RPG dungeon crawlers to give it a shot. I don't think this game will end up on my Game of the Year list, but it was able to fill a Diablo-sized hole in my life, and that means a lot to someone like me who can't bear to start Diablo 3 over again. This game really clicked with me, so I can't wait to see what game Drinkbox Studios comes up with next, whether it's a sequel to Nobody Saves the World or another genre entirely. As always, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this review, please hit that like button down below and subscribe for more reviews and gaming live streams on this channel. See you next time.